Hey guys, what's up? I'm finally here. Oh my God, I've been having so much trouble with my cell service today. It's been very spotty, and of course, about the time that I was going to start my live stream, it decided to poop out on me. So hopefully, it's back up and going, and I can make it through this live stream without it crapping out on me again. Um, but anyway, that's just the nature of because I do everything through my cell phone, and I have a Verizon, which is not always reliable. So if anybody's here, I see one person is here, and I would hazard a guess that it might be Michigan Wifey. It's just a guess. She's usually always here for me. So maybe some more people will come in now that I'm actually got everything. Hopefully, Verizon has got its stuff together and will hold up for me to make it through this live stream. We're going to be talking about a case from, this is my true crime case of the week. I decided to do a special live stream because I have the house to myself today, except for me and the cat. My mom is out. She and my aunt are out Christmas shopping. I'm not a Christmas shopper, so I said, you two go and have fun. I'll see you when you get back home. So anyway, and I also came across, so the case is from Virginia from 1989. It's the case of Melissa Brannen. There's a good amount of information in this case. It's just very sad. And so I wanted to bring that one to you. The more I looked into it, yep, Michigan Wifey is here. Hey, fabulous lady. I don't know how fabulous I look today. I just kind of threw something together, and I got a little bit of a late start last night or this morning, because I stayed up a little bit late last night watching a replay of the Mob Crew, Chris's show last night, and then went to bed, and then about 3:30 or 4 o'clock this morning, the storms decided to roll through here, and so the thunder boomers woke me up. And then so I sleep with my TV on, so of course when it storms, the satellite goes out, so I had no satellite to watch, so I got on YouTube to see what was going on, and Dave was on there, Danger Dave. I don't know if anybody who watches True Crime Web with Mr. Steve and Mrs. Steve, Dave is usually there, and he was on. Like I said, it was 4 o'clock my time, and I think he said he was in New Hampshire, so it was about 5 o'clock his time. So I got on, started watching a little bit of Dave. He was covering apparently a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna have to look this up. There was I think it was in Edna, Texas. There was a cheerleader. I think she was maybe 16. That was found deceased in her home, in her bathtub. So he was and apparently the offender has not been found yet. So he was taking a look at that case and looking at some live reporting on that. So I stayed up till about 5 my time, chatting with Dave, and Dave's a good guy. I'll try to I don't know if I can, because I'm on the StreamYard side, and but if you just look up DGR Dave, you'll find him, and just go to his lives. He does lives usually very early in the morning. Apparently he's a early riser. So anyway, so I got a late start. I slept in a little bit. I don't think I rolled out of bed till about 10 o'clock this morning, and had to take some care of things to get my shower taken and all that. But anyway, so I finally made it. So Michigan Wifey is here. Thank you very much. Julie Blair is here. Good to see you, Julie. And anybody who anybody else who comes in that I don't see, and anybody watching the replay, thank you for very much for watching it. That also helps small channels like mine if I get some replay traffic on my live streams. Yes, Michigan wifey, very sad. Yeah, apparently her mother, this and I can't remember the girl's name, Elizabeth, something. 16-year-old, like I said, 16-year-old cheerleader. She was found deceased in her bathtub, and her mother was the one that found her. And I just cannot. My thoughts and prayers go out to her mother and her whole family. I just could not have. If I had, I don't have any children myself, but if I had a child and came in and found her, it would just I would just have a complete nervous breakdown, to say the least. So yeah, it's a very, very sad story. So hopefully the offender will be found. And Dave did say that he would keep everybody, he would keep an eye on the story and keep everybody updated on what was going on. Thanks, Julie. I'm glad that you're glad to be back. All right, so I suppose. And we were supposed to talk about storms. We were supposed to have some more storms today, but right now the sun is shining, so hopefully we won't get any more storms. I think I'm in Arkansas, so I think we had a cold front come through that was causing all the storms. So hopefully the storms are past us. So the sunshine can either be a good thing or a bad thing, because I also am a weather nerd. I watch a lot of Weather Channel, and they always say that sometimes when you have a sunshine, when you have a system coming through that to cause storms, that it will make it worse and make the storms worse. But we'll hope for the best. Hopefully we won't have any tornadoes. All right, enough of my babbling. We will get started, but welcome to everybody who's here and everybody who hopefully will come in, and anybody who's watching the replay, thank you very much. Yep, Michigan wifey, that's what I was saying. Yeah, according to the meteorologist that I follow, and like I said, I watched a lot of Weather Channel. They said that that's one thing, when the sun heats up the atmosphere, it makes it more likely to have storms, and really bad storms that could cause tornadoes. So, and like I said, as I'm looking out my window right now, the sun is shining very brightly. So we'll just pray for the best. And I have all my alerts, weather alerts set on my phone. So if anything does start going on, my phone will start going off. So if I just suddenly disappear, I'm ducking and running for cover. But hopefully that won't happen. All right, we will get started. Get full screen for a minute so I can see what I'm doing, because I forgot to turn my notifications off, so I got stuff across the top of my screen. Oh, come on. I always have trouble with my... All right, I'm going to back out and then go back in, because what is going on today? I'm telling you, probably operator error as usual. Trying to get my slides going and get comfortable. And once again, my camera's not right, but try to get it best I can. If I scoot it over a little bit. Nope, that's not helping. Any of you, my regulars, know that I always have tons of technical difficulties. Anyway, okay. Get my slides going. Oh, God, worked on the first time. Hallelujah. Okay, so before we get started, I always feature a missing person, and this is from the Morgan Nick Foundation Facebook group, and this is Nyla Claxton, and apparently her nickname is Nana. Now this is a non-custodial family abduction, And I'm going to have to lean in a little bit to read the small print, but it says Nyla is missing. She is 2 years old, and she was taken by a non-custodial family member. Then this was back in March of this year. And I believe it was her non-custodial mother who took her. A warrant has been issued for the mother, and I definitely cannot read this small writing. A warrant has been arrested, and I believe her name was Sierra Leone, and I cannot read the last name. Anyway, it's her mother. You can see in the picture of Nyla there, and then down in the bottom right of that is the picture of the mother. So if you're in the and she went missing from Little Rock, Nyla's only 2 years old. Black female with black hair and brown eyes. So if you're in the Little Rock, Arkansas area, please be on the lookout. And if you have any information, or if you see either Nyla or her mother, you can contact the Little Rock Police Department at 501-371-4605, I believe is what it is. I will put a link after the stream is over, and when it uploads to the YouTube site and lets me edit it and put links in, I will put a link to the original post. And I probably I think it will let me put a comment links in the comments, so I'll put a link in the comment. All right, go back up and see if anything else is going on. Why does my keyboard keep coming? Julie says, "Don't worry, we don't mind, and I admire your tenacity and honesty." Yeah, even when I do pre-recorded videos, I don't edit them, so what you see is what you get. So it's basically, when I do videos, it's just like doing a live, mistakes and warts and all. Sorry, I had to clear this notification out. It kept beeping at me. So like I said, what you see is what you get. But I appreciate your comment. Thank you, Julie. None of us are perfect. All right, so before we actually get into just to come back up. Oh my goodness. Once again, I don't want that. I want to go full screen. Holy moly. There we go. Oh, now we got to go back a slide. So when I was on Facebook earlier checking on the missing, I'm having problems with my tablet. I'm technologically challenged. So when I was on Facebook earlier to check Nyla, the status of the missing person, Nyla, to see if anything had changed, I also visited, a true crime group. It's called a Natural State True Crime Discussion. And one of the members there had posted something, or posted that Lionel Dahmer, who is the father of Jeffrey Dahmer, had passed away, I believe, on December 5th, which would have been Tuesday, I believe. And so I had not heard of that, heard about that happening. So I went and checked it out, and I found an article that just gave a little bit of description of what happened to him, but also gave some very interesting and disturbing info, some of the things that Lionel Dahmer said. So Lionel Dahmer, the father of a serial offender Jeffrey Dahmer, has passed away at the age of 87. The Akron Beacon Journal reports Lionel Dahmer passed away while in hospice care in Medina County, and the cause of his death has not been reported. He was 87, so I would say chalk it up to old age. he could have had health problems. But the interesting part, and it is very sad that, he passed away. I know he was kind of vilified a lot, excuse me, when it came to Jeffrey. And sorry, I was trying to find what I was looking for. He's been kind of vilified when it comes to Jeffrey and his relationship with Jeffrey, and people say he should have, seen sooner that something was going on with Jeffrey. But all right, okay. So once again, I should have put my hair back. It's always falling in my face. It says that Lionel remains supportive of Jeffrey despite the accusations. He told the Beacon Journal after his son's arrest that Jeffrey was, quote, not born a monster. He also went on to say, how could anyone be polite and kind and pretty normal otherwise and yet do these things unless they are extremely troubled and insane? Well, we all know that obviously Jeffrey Dahmer was very troubled. Insane, that's a matter of opinion. I don't know if he was I'm sure he was examined by a number of a psychiatrist or whatever you want to call them, analyzed by him. But in my opinion, this is just my opinion, he was definitely had psychopathy going on, and he was just one of the worst of the worst. So here is the statement made by Lionel Dahmer that I found particularly disturbing. So Lionel visited his son Jeffrey monthly in prison, and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reported that Dahmer recorded, I don't know if it was Jeffrey or Lionel, recorded several conversations. Well, it was Lionel. Dahmer recorded several conversations he had with his son while in prison. And, quote, Lionel Dahmer said to Jeffrey, I had weird thoughts too in my childhood. You're just like me, Jeff. Amazing all the times that I should have been caught and I never was. So, what do you make of that statement? We'll go back out for a minute and see if anybody has any thoughts on what Mr. Lionel Dahmer. Hello, I believe Ryu, I believe you said your name was Carmen. Welcome. Glad to have you here. So does anybody have any thoughts, and I'll read it again, about this statement made by Lionel Dahmer? He told Jeffrey, I had weird thoughts too in my childhood. You're just like me, Jeff. Amazing all the times that I should have been caught and I never was. And then he also said, absolutely nothing is too great not to be forgiven. So, to me, I would take that, now this is just my opinion, take that to mean that maybe, possibly, and this is just me speculating, that Lionel Dahmer may have had some psychopathy going on. Because, like I said, I found these statements that he made to Jeffrey very disturbing. I would just like to know, and it could have been talking about something entirely different as far as his personality. Maybe he had the same kind of personality as Jeffrey Dahmer, his son. And he may not have been talking about the that he might not have had. He might not have been talking about that he had like the urge to take people's lives. But to me, just the tone of that would lead me to believe that he might have had some psychopathic tendencies, if that's the right term, also. Yeah, Julie says, like most serial offenders fool people. Yes, they're very good at fooling people. 99%, if not all of them, are pathological liars. You can't really trust anything they say. But yeah, so anyway, that is the news on Lionel Dahmer, who passed away on December 5th, which was Tuesday, at the age of 87. All righty. Let me get back. All right, we will get into our case of the week. So we were going to be taking a look at the case of Melissa Brannen. Now, Melissa was just 5 years old when she went missing from Lorton, Virginia on December 3rd, 1989. And there was a suspect that was arrested for her abduction, but we will get to him. But it's just obviously a very, very, very sad case, as they all are. All right. Once again, I can't keep my slides in order. Very, very sad case, especially when it comes these missing persons cases. When they involve children, they always hit me just a little bit harder. Missing children and missing elderly always hit me a little bit harder. Maybe it's because of my love for children. Because to me, children and the elderly are the most defenseless. Most defenseless when it comes to being able to defend themselves if they are attacked or things of that nature. So back to Melissa. Like I said, she's 5 years old. This is classified as a non-family abduction. And her clothes that she were wearing will come into play when it comes to this suspect that was arrested for her abduction. She was wearing a pink hooded jacket, a navy blue acrylic sweater with red and blue plaid sleeves, navy blue cuffs, and a yellow applique, a yellow patch of the Sesame Street character Big Bird on the front, and also a red and black plaid cotton skirt and red tights and black patent leather shoes with gold bows. She had light brown hair, blue eyes, and she had a burn scar on her right forearm. So at the time that Melissa disappeared, she was living with her mother in their apartment in Virginia. Her mother worked as an accountant at the time, and they had moved to Northern Virginia following her mom's divorce from her husband. And at the time that Melissa disappeared, her father was living in Texas. So after the divorce, she moved to Virginia, and I'm assuming that her parents, she lived there to be close to her parents, because it says that Tammy, who is Melissa's mom, parents helped take care of Melissa while Tammy was working. So Tammy worked with the defense contracting company, and she also worked for a jewelry store on the weekends. So she was working two jobs, single mom, working two jobs to keep a roof over her and her daughter's head. And fortunately, she had the help of her parents to help take care of Melissa while she was working. And that's not always, sorry, I'm still trying to get my camera right. That's not always the case with a lot of single moms. They're they don't have family to help, and it just makes it very, very hard. But fortunately, Tammy did have a help to look after Melissa. So the night that Melissa disappeared, it was December 3rd, 1989. That evening, she and Tammy, her mother, had attended a holiday party at the Woodside Apartment clubhouse, which was located near their apartment complex. So by the way this is wording, I'm assuming that they lived in this Woodside apartment complex, and they had a clubhouse, or sometimes what we would call like maybe a community center or a community room, where people who lived in the apartment complex could get together and have parties, or either Christmas. I'm assuming this was a Christmas party since it was in December. Just have get-togethers with the family that came in. So at any rate, they were at this party at the clubhouse. And now this is, to me, this is also key too. It says that Melissa was shy, very shy. So she spent most of the time at the party sitting on her mother's lap. So this would fall under the category of victimology. So more than likely, if Tammy or Melissa was very shy, she would not wander off by herself and have been snatched. She would have, like I said, stuck close to her mom and not talked to a whole lot of people. So around 10 that evening, Tammy and Melissa were preparing to leave the party, but before they left, Melissa wanted to go grab a handful of potato chips before they left. I can I can relate to that. I like some potato chips, although I have to cut back on them a little bit. But at any rate, Tammy said, "Yeah, sure, you can grab some potato chips." And apparently, from the way what I understand from this, that Tammy went outside to wait for Melissa when Melissa went back to grab these chips. So Melissa did go back in to get the chips while Tammy waited for her to come back, but Melissa never returned, and she was never seen again. Of course, Tammy went back into the party to search for Melissa, but she was unable to locate her. She did find that a window in the utility room was open. And it says that this is one of the only clues ever found in Melissa's case as far as when it comes to where she disappeared from. It says she screamed for help. I'm assuming 911 was called, and police came to investigate. She called Tammy called the police, reported her daughter's disappearance. And when I read this next part, I was very glad. It made me very happy when I found this information. It says that Melissa's case was immediately labeled as a stranger abduction. So in a lot of cases, and it may have been because she was so young. What did I say? She was 5 years old, 8 years old. Sometimes these disappearances are not immediately labeled as abductions, but usually it's more when they're teenagers, 12, 13, 14 years old. Most of the time, initially, they're ruled as a possible runaway, and they're not immediately labeled as an abduction. But I was glad to see that this case was immediately labeled as a stranger abduction, and an immediate search was commenced. Police, volunteers, and 300 military personnel all searched for Melissa. And over the course of the next several days, over 35,000 posters and 10,000 bumper stickers were distributed in the Washington, D.C. area. So between all the searching that was being done, the posters handed out, the bumper stickers, basically Melissa's face, and information was plastered everywhere, which is always a fantastic thing. And also something else that I had never heard that I thought was very interesting and also very smart was that after Melissa disappears, several local movie theaters previewed a home video that was taken of Melissa singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So we all know we've been to movies. Before the actual movie starts, they usually show previews or trailers of different movies. So apparently during this time, they showed this video of Melissa singing to help bring even more attention to her disappearance in hopes of finding some information. Excuse me. And in addition to search efforts, investigators also posted a $100,000 reward in hopes of finding Melissa, but unfortunately the search efforts failed to locate Melissa. Excuse me while I get a drink. Oh, before we go to that, go out and see what we got going on. Julie says, going back to Jeffrey Dahmer, says, I've never heard about that info either. Plus, the father moved out when Jeffrey was a young teenager. Yes. You're talking about Lionel Dahmer and the statements or what the conversations he had with Jeffrey while he was in prison. Gives you something to think about. I'm telling you. And I'm not saying that Lionel Dahmer ever committed any crimes or but he did say that I'm paraphrasing again because I don't have my tablet up, that there were several times that he could have been caught. So that just in my opinion, that just leads me to believe that something could have been going on there. Very, very scary. And I wonder, I'm gonna have to research it, if anybody has ever researched Lionel Dahmer and his in his younger days to see if what he got up to. Be very interesting to know. All right, we will go back to. So during the course of investigating Melissa's disappearance, investigators found that there were between 80 to 200 guests that were at this party on the night that Melissa was abducted. So, of course, they talked to all of them, I'm assuming. But quickly, they said they narrowed down the suspect, Caleb Daniel Hughes. He was in his mid-20s at the time. This was in 89, and he was recently married. He was a maintenance worker at Melissa and Tammy's apartment complex. He had been working at the complex for 2 to 3 weeks before Melissa was abducted, and he lived 8 miles away. Several party guests recall how Mr. Hughes paid particular attention to Melissa, and he was even seen speaking to her at one point. And apparently, he left the party at around the same time that Melissa was discovered missing. So lots of red flags going on there, obviously. Hold on, just had another notification come up. Oh, it's my mom telling me that they made it to their shopping destination. Anyway. And also reported multiple women that were at the party that night reported that Hughes had made crude propositions to them during the party. Sorry, my cat is now jumping on the bed. Anyway, okay, so between my mom and my cat, it keeps getting me distracted. I apologize. All right, so back to Mr. Hughes. He had made, several women said that he had made crude propositions to them during the party, and others reported that Hughes had given unusual levels of attention towards all the children at the party. No, it did not say how many children were at the party. And of course, this attention also included Melissa. So it sounds like that this Mr. Hughes, this is just my opinion. This Mr. Hughes was not a very, he had some ill intentions maybe going on that night. So after Mr. Hughes became the prime suspect in Melissa's disappearance, they did visit his apartment, and it says during the night, so I'm assuming the same night that Melissa disappeared, they visited his apartment. His wife was there. It said that she cooperated fully. And it says that the entire outfit of clothing that Hughes was wearing at the time of the disappearance was found in the washing machine. Don't know if it had been washed yet or not. And this included his shoes. And the interesting note with the shoes that is included, it says that the sides of the soles of his shoes had been cut off, possibly to remove blood evidence. So, even more red flags for Mr. Hughes. They also found his belt and a sheath for a large knife. It says they had immediately been put there for washing by Hughes himself when he arrived home, and of course they were seized as evidence to be tested. Now this was in 89, back in the 80s, evidence, DNA testing was not what it is now. So I don't know what they could have found when they tested the evidence. Police also took, and I believe this picture is his actual car. They took it's a red Honda Civic sedan, which he owned. They examined the passenger seat for fiber evidence. It also says that Hughes at some point, I don't know if it was that night or at a later point, was given a polygraph, took a polygraph test, and according to the polygraph examiner, Mr. Hughes showed evidence of deception when questioned about his role in Melissa's disappearance. Now, we all know, obviously, we all know that polygraph tests cannot be used in court. They're just kind of used as a kind of a measuring device to just to get an idea of if the suspect is telling the truth or not. But then again, all the professionals say that polygraphs are unreliable. So, but in any case, he did say that there were evidence of deception shown in this polygraph test. So going back to the car, fibers were extracted from the front seat of the car. And as I said earlier, Melissa had been wearing, and this is not the actual, because I never found her body, this is not the actual clothes that she was wearing, but they went out to JCPenney and purchased this exact clothes that Melissa was wearing at the time, and those fibers from the clothes that they had bought, which were the same set of clothes, were identical to what Melissa was wearing. The fibers were compared with those found on the seat of Mr. Hughes' car. A match was found between the sweater and the fibers in the car. They also found hair from a rare rabbit fur coat worn by Tammy, who was Melissa's mother, at the party, and this evidence pointed towards the probability or possibility that Melissa had been sitting in the passenger seat at some point during the evening. So after comparing these fibers from the suit that was identical to the one that Melissa was wearing, the fibers did match, and it showed that Melissa, they say probability, I'm going to say possibility, because it goes on to say that the FBI took blood, hair, and fiber evidence from the car and tested it in a forensic laboratory. Now, their findings, the FBI findings, found that Melissa could have been a source for the hair and the blood stains, which are found on some of the tissue in the car, but so could 40% of the general population. So that, I would assume, means that this was not definitive enough to say that, yes, Melissa was absolutely in the car. And it also goes to say that further testing, and I have a theory about this, further testing ruled out Melissa as a source for the stains, for the blood stains, I'm assuming. Because it said they found blood stains, hair and blood stains. But Melissa was completely ruled out for the hair and the blood stains. So that leads me to the question, and I don't know, it says that Mr. Hughes was married, unknown if he had children, if he and his wife had children or not. So my question is, if this hair and blood stains did not match anybody who should have been who had reason to be in the truck, such as his wife and kids, if they had kids, or family members or anybody else who should have been in this truck, whose hair and blood stains who did they belong to? Is it possible, this is just my opinion, is it possible that Mr. Hughes had in the past abducted or attempted to abduct or did abduct and harm another child? And that's just my opinion. Please, anybody out there watching or watching on replay, let me know what you think about that. To me, I would have, and I'm sure the police did, I would have definitely, like I said, this was back in 89. Basically, probably all they could get was a blood type from the blood. But hopefully, the investigators in the lab had the foresight to hopefully keep this evidence stored, and maybe someday, if it was stored and it is still viable, they could try to extract DNA from it with the all the new technology that we have in 2023, and put it into CODIS and all the other systems that we have out there, or some of the genetic genealogy sites, and see where this hair, see if they can find a match to this hair and fiber. And also found, however, rabbit hairs found in the car matched, it says Melissa's, but it was actually Tammy, her mother's, rabbit fur jacket that she had been wearing. And there were many blue fibers that did match the sweater, and some red fibers consistent with the skirt, of the type that Melissa was known to be wearing the night that she disappeared. Go back out for a minute and see if we got anything going on in chat. Yeah, Julie says, like father, like son. Yeah, once again, going back to Jeffrey Dahmer. Maybe I should have made this a Jeffrey Dahmer discussion. But yeah, we can discuss after I give you all the rest of the information about Melissa's case. We can discuss Mr. Dahmer or anything else y'all want to discuss. All right, going back in. Make sure I didn't skip any slides. Okay, so the next slide. So apparently, Mr. Hughes' wife, Carol, was key to this investigation as far as giving information about where her husband was during the timeline of when Melissa disappeared. So according to Carol, who was Mr. Hughes' wife, she reported his arrival home from work was several hours later than usual. And also that extra mileage was on his car's odometer. So apparently, for whatever reason or another, she checked the odometer and found out that there was more miles put on the car that night than should have been if he was coming straight home from work. When I don't know if she questioned him about this, but apparently Mr. Hughes' explanation for the mileage was that he took a side trip to purchase a 6-pack of beer and then took a longer route home. Which to me, in my opinion, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because I'm sure if he was a regular partaker of alcoholic beverages, that he probably had a place that he would stop at. Because I know back in the 80s, you could buy, as long as it was, because in Arkansas, we have what they call dry counties and wet counties. Wet counties, you can purchase alcohol. Dry counties, you cannot purchase alcohol in. So I'm assuming that he would, if he was going to stop and purchase alcoholic beverages, that he probably had a certain gas station or liquor store that he would pass on his route that he took home, that he would purchase his liquor from. But apparently that night, he went out of his way to a different place to buy his alcohol. Once again, obviously, red flags. And apparently he never explained why he had driven out of his usual way to come home. And it says, in any event, obviously his story was improbable, as he claimed to have gotten home around 12:30 a.m. And apparently back then, liquor stores in Virginia do not sell alcohol past midnight per state regulations. But that could be explained depending on how long and it's unclear how long it would have taken him to get from the apartments where he worked back to his home, but he could have purchased the alcohol before 12:30 and then gotten home, or he could have purchased the liquor before midnight and then gotten home after. Said he got home at 12:30, but regardless, his story does not make sense at all. So, at the time of Melissa's presumed death, Virginia law did not require a body to convict someone of homicide. However, it was required that a proven location of the crime is disclosed. And of course, investigators did not have that because they had no idea where Melissa's body was. To this day, it has not been found. So therefore, Mr. Hughes could not be charged with homicide. But he was later charged with abduction with intent to defile. We all know what defile means, in relation to Melissa's disappearance. And it says that the detectives were able to prove this based on evidence that Hughes had abducted Melissa with the intent to assault her. And he was convicted of the charges on March 8th, 1991, and was sentenced to 50 years in prison. So although he could not be tried or convicted for her homicide, evidently he could be tried and was convicted of her abduction with the intent to defile her. But there's another twist in the story. In 1993, his conviction was overturned on the basis of lack of evidence. Says there was little to no evidence to prove that Mr. Hughes abducted Melissa with the intent of defiling her. So when I first read this and it said that it was overturned on the basis of lack of evidence, I was thinking, why did they then convict him in the first place of abducting her with intent to defile? And now because they had evidence, and now in 1993 they're saying it was overturned because of the lack of evidence. So this part is a little confusing to me, but I'm not a lawyer. I've never claimed to be. So if anybody out there watching or watching replay can explain that to me, please do so. But at any rate, he was tried again, and he was convicted on charges of kidnapping. Now, it says that this could have carried a shorter sentence of 10 years and that he could have been paroled immediately. But that did not happen, thankfully. He was not paroled. He remained in prison because even though they could not prove, since they had no place, the prosecutors could not provide a place where this crime happened because they don't know where it happened. He was convicted. So apparently they do believe, and in my opinion, I too believe that he did have something to do with the abduction and harming of Melissa. But once again, another twist in the story. He served 30 years of his original 50-year sentence in Melissa's case, and on August 2nd of 2019, he was released from prison. And an article I read said that he was released for good behavior because apparently when he was in prison, he was an exemplary inmate, and so that contributed to him being released early for good behavior, which, in my opinion, I think it was a mistake to let him out. Like I said, that's just my opinion. But in any case, he was released from prison. He is currently living in an undisclosed location, and he is required to list as an SA offender. Of course, he maintains his innocence in the case, and he states that he was in no way responsible for the abduction of Melissa. Well, obviously, he's going to say that, as they all do. So, like I said, as of 2023, no sign of Melissa or her remains have ever been found. Police are hopeful to locate Melissa someday, and they have continued to search for Melissa throughout the years since 1989. Her case is considered an unsolved homicide. Like I said, her body has never been found. So if you do have any information on Melissa, whereabouts of her possible remains, if you're happen to be in the Virginia area in 1989, and if you have any information, please contact the Fairfax County Sheriff's Office at 703-246-7800 or the FBI at 202-324-3000. So regardless of if it was Mr. Hughes that abducted Melissa and harmed her, or if it was somebody else, at the heart of this case is this beautiful little girl, Melissa Brannen, who was taken when she was only 5 years old. Her life was taken. This is always the heart of the case. The victim's family, obviously her mother and any other, her grandparents, on her mother's side, her father, any other relatives she had. Melissa deserves justice. Her parents deserve justice, or at the very least to be able to find her and to bring her home and give her a proper burial. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully these fibers and any evidence that was collected were kept, and maybe someday some cold case detective will pull it out, take another look at it. Hopefully there's some DNA that's still viable that can be tested, and hopefully at some point some kind of closure can be brought for Melissa. All right, let's see what we got going. Julie says it sounds like an impulsive abduction. Yes, absolutely. To me, yeah, just from the circumstances. Now, he may have, if he worked, it said he had been working at the apartment complex where Melissa and her mother lived. So I'm assuming he would have seen Melissa around there, and apparently he had a proclivity for children, because it said at the party that he was paying particular attention to all the children that were at the party, and especially Melissa. So yeah, it was probably a crime of opportunity. When she went back into just one theory, she went back in to get the chips. Maybe the other party goers had started filing out. Nobody was really paying attention. He grabbed her because it said when her mother Tammy went back in, she found one of the utility windows open. So it's entirely possible that he could have grabbed Melissa and went out the window with her, disappeared with her, put her in the truck, and took off. It's just so sad. Very sad. Fritzy Garage is here, watching from Poland as always. Thank you, Fritzy. It's always glad to have you here. And I look at my demographics, and surprisingly, aside from me, of course, the United States is where I have most of my demographics are from, but I do have Australia, I believe, and the UK. So it's not just Americans that are watching me, but I appreciate everybody who watches my videos, watches my lives. It's very much appreciated for a small channel like mine. Oh, and if you found this, speaking of small channels like mine, if you found this live stream informative, interesting, please give me a thumbs up while you're here. It helps out my channel, helps in the what they call the YouTube algorithm. It pushes it out to more people. So any likes, shares, comments are always greatly appreciated. So if anybody has any questions, comments, anything else you want to talk about, please comment. Sun's still shining here, so it hasn't started storming yet. Thank goodness. If you want to talk about Mr. Dahmer some more, or anything else that's going on in the news, feel free to jump in with a comment. Today is Saturday, and it's really weird not to have any college football to watch. Michigan Wifey says, I give you 5. Thank you very much. Thanks for the thumbs up. I really appreciate of course, everybody that attends my lives and watches my videos. Michigan Wifey is always here when she can be to watch my lives, and always watches my videos and comments on them. So all the support I get is very much appreciated. Like I said, on a small channel like mine, it helps. Yes, I wonder that too. Michigan Wifey says, I wonder if they've investigated Jeffrey Dahmer's dad. Yeah, like I said, and except for just, I never really read a whole lot about Lionel Dahmer, except for the people that said, that he should have, especially when it comes to, they always bring up Jeffrey's interest in animal bones. And he encouraged Jeff's interest in the animal bones. And I think maybe Lionel was a taxidermist, or there was a member of the family that was a taxidermist. I may be wrong, but I remember reading something about taxidermy. Or maybe it was just Lionel was interested in taxidermy. But yeah, with and these statements that he made in this article, I had never, anything I've ever read about Jeffrey Dahmer or Lionel, never heard about these conversations where he said, let's see if I can bring them up again. My pad going, my tablet going again. Come on. I can't get my PIN number in right. Yeah, he says, I had weird thoughts too in my childhood. What kind of weird thoughts? But what gets me is he says, you are just like me. This is Lionel talking to Jeff. Amazing all the times that I should have been caught and I never was. To me, that is very disturbing. Very disturbing comments. Lionel also earned a Master of Science degree from Marquette University and a doctorate in philosophy from Iowa State in 1966. So evidently he was pretty smart. Yeah, I may have to, now that I found these articles, I may have to research Mr. Mr. Lionel Dahmer a little bit, look into his background and see, as Michigan Wifey said, to see if Lionel was ever investigated for anything. Thank you, Michigan Wifey. Thanks to the people who came and showed her support. Yes, all support is appreciated. Like I said, I'm a fairly new channel. I've been doing this probably not even a year, almost a year. I think it might be a year in February. I concentrate mostly on smaller cases, lesser known cases that aren't in the national spotlight, like the Kobergers and the Huermans and Delphi that's going on right now, and that whole circus with Richard Allen. That is just a circus and a dumpster fire, and you never know. You never know on any given day what's going to come out next about that. So, all right, I guess I will wrap this up. It's just a little over an hour, unless anybody else has any comments. But thank you, Michigan Wifey, Fritzy Garage, Julie Blair, Rayu, Carmen, everybody that was here. I very much appreciate it. I probably won't do a live tomorrow. Probably hang out with my mom and watch some football, because some NFL football will be on tomorrow, and I think my Chiefs may be playing on TV tomorrow, at least in this area. So I'll hang out with Mama and watch some football and chill out. So I hope everybody has, and then Monday I've got to get, and I may go ahead and record it when I get done with this live stream. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Monday, I will have my missing person Monday, and probably, unless I find anything comes up, current true crime in the news, I probably won't have a video Wednesday, and then Friday I will have next week's true crime case of the week. So I will quit babbling for now. Once again, thanks to everybody who attended the live. Thanks very much to anybody who's watching the replay. Until I see you next time, please, everybody, take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Take care of each other. That is the most important thing we can do in this life, is take care of our fellow human beings, so we can all make it through this life safely. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.